Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Strange Normal. My name is Brad Burnham. We talk about the stranger things that happen in your normal life to give you a biblical understanding of what's going on. And there has been a lot going on, but hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell icon so you're notified when things like this happen, because there's going to be a lot of it. And man, oh man, have we had a time looking up all the stuff that is happening throughout the world just within these last few weeks. We've been discussing that in our Discord. If you're not a member of that, you need to partner with us and help us spread this message by going to patreon.com/strangenormal. And you too can be a part of the Patreon. We got so many things going on just within our Discord server, and you can be a part of that by joining us. I mean, look at all this stuff. And the community just keeps growing and growing of people like-minded, just like you and I, that are looking to understand this stuff and be on top of it, because we are on the bleeding edge of Bible prophecy. Things that the church isn't talking about, we talk about on this channel, and we can discuss that right here with you. Help us out. We look forward to seeing you and chatting with you. But tonight, let me bring you my guest, Mikey Jenny. You've been on here quite some time, and we always appreciate having you back. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, doing great, man. Always love being on here, hanging out with those like-minded folks you're talking about.
Very good. We got some really interesting stuff happening tonight, man. There's been, did you know that today is the end of the world? According to TikTok.
That's what I heard. Yeah, I heard it made mainstream media.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that mainstream media looks at TikTok for their resources?
Oh, goodness. Let me tell you, I was, let me show you. You know, if those haven't seen it, this is fascinating. Let me bring it up here real quick. I'm going to try this new feature, and maybe it will work. Is it going to work? That doesn't look right, but we're going to see if this works now. Nope, that's me. That's not right. Well, we did this, and we tested it before the show, and it worked.
Wow.
Now it doesn't, you know, but if you go to mirror.co.uk and go to TikTok and type in TikTok time traveler claims aliens will invade the earth tomorrow, that was published yesterday, and abduct 8,000 humans.
Maybe it did happen.
It's just more of this absolute chaos. And I think the way this is happening is this is the way the devil works. He tries to continue the conversation so that this is on the top of the mind, no matter if it's right or wrong. Any publicity is good publicity, as they say in marketing, right? So that's what's happening. We also have something else going on on Politico that they just came out with an article, and we're going to go over these articles. We got a lot of videos to look at. You know, before we get into this next article, I'm actually going to show real quick what we have on our list to talk about tonight. It's really interesting. So this is our list, and it's backwards to me, so I'm going to look down here. Congressman says the government is lying. Well, imagine that, right? And we haven't seen that before. The government's lying. But the congressman says they're lying about UFOs. So it's really interesting because right now here in Tennessee, I think that's where this congressman is, and he's absolutely sure that they're keeping some kind of craft. Now we don't think that they're necessarily keeping a craft, but if they are, it's a huge deception, bigger than any physical deception we've witnessed here or read about. So that'd be interesting if that actually happens. Number 2 on the scale here is the pilot's body language. We have a professional that reads body language of the pilots that were watching this thing, watching these guys on the news, and they are watching the body language of this guy and trying to predict if he's lying or telling the truth. And I think the results will surprise you. Number 3, FBI UFO revenge. So this is interesting because there's a former FBI agent who we actually talked about on a previous episode of the After Show. This is another show we're doing on here during the week that we just comment on different things that don't necessarily UAP related, but this FBI agent was taking some of these strange UAP paperwork that he had to go over, and he discovered something interesting. So we're going to jump into that about halfway through the program. And we just talked about the day today the Earth ended, and we're going to go into a Politico article that's not the same thing, but it's still interesting. And then for the final treat, it's kind of the icing on the cake. We're going to go over a country music video that's just making the rounds and just becoming ridiculously popular. It's kind of its own little thing because it's not under a label, but it's all about the propaganda that we talk about on this channel, which is the UAP and all this other stuff. It's actually an interesting video because it's more than that. He's got some good points he's made in the lyrics, and we're going to try to get away with playing as much as we can without getting kicked off. So I might need to read the lyrics to you, but that's going to be a first for tonight. We're going to try to do that. Mikey, are you still there?
I'm here.
Let's get into it. Yeah. So we got some good, interesting stuff happening. There's always something happening. There's a lot more in the Discord too, and we just can't get to it all. But
can't keep up with it all.
So much stuff. Let me show you the Politico article that's happening here. I'm still glitching out on my screen capture thing, but the Politico article says what Biden administration isn't telling Congress about spy balloons. And you would think this is an old article, but it just came out 2 days ago on 3/21/2023. I'm going to date the program by giving dates here. But if you scroll down, if you are following along, you don't have to follow along. I was going to actually show it on the screen, but can't do that right now for some reason. One of the main commentators says the delay by the administration on releasing information about the Chinese balloon and other objects shot down last month raises questions about the extent to which the U.S. fully understands what intelligent foreign governments may be collecting about Washington's knowledge. Now listen to this. This is interesting. Quote, what is our capability to observe what is in our aerospace? There's holes in it. We should understand what we can and cannot observe and understand what we need to do to be able to fill those gaps, said Tim, a former administrator of the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. The balloon surprised us. It's surprising us. And it was a big wake-up call. So this is what I've been saying the whole time on this channel. The balloons that came over, their main purpose in the spiritual mindset of this whole thing wasn't to cause a stir from China and stir up the controversy between China and the U.S. It was to have us recalibrate our NORAD radar systems so we can see these things, these UAPs more clearly. Because before, they couldn't see them because they weren't big enough to be spotted. And now they are, because they have recalibrated them to see smaller objects like weather balloons. And they're saying it. They're saying it right here. We need to fill those gaps. So
I haven't really been buying into the whole Chinese aspect of it, but I think this is an excuse to crack down. Like, hey, we need more surveillance. And everybody's like, oh, yes, please, because we don't want to get spied on by the Chinese. So it's like, yep, let's put a camera on every inch of this place, and one in your bathroom and in your toilet and everywhere else. So
did you see the article? This is a total rabbit trail, but did you see the article about the Roomba? You know what Roombas are, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I didn't see this.
So these Roombas, people are using these robot vacuums, and then going around throughout their house and stuff. Well, apparently the Roomba CDN is a content distribution network. Apparently these things they need to use cameras in order to get around. Apparently, if you have a Roomba, these things are taking pictures of your house while it's going around and uploading it to the Roomba site, and the Roomba site got hacked. And so now there's pictures of people sitting on their toilets in their bathrooms.
Oh my.
There's no
this
kidding.
Is like legit.
Yeah. And they're like, yeah, we have the Roomba's going around. We don't think that anybody's watching us when a Roomba comes by the bathroom. But apparently now, it took your picture and uploaded it to the internet, and the internet got hacked. Congratulations.
Wow.
You're on the pooper, and it's on the internet for everyone to see.
Yeah. Alex Jones has been saying that stuff for years, man. He's like, your toaster is watching you, your microwave. And I thought he was like exaggerating, but then they started showing like on the news the people were tearing apart their TVs, and there's cameras in the TVs, and that they're literally telling you, they're like, yeah, at some point we want to implement where all the advertising you see is based on things that you like and what you talk about. And hey, you're having an argument with your wife. Well, you'll see a divorce court advertisement, or you start saying like, "Hey, the cat's out of food." You'll see a cat food advertisement. And I mean, yeah, they openly tell us a lot of this stuff.
That's something. That is
I've
something.
questioned those urinals, man. Those sensors when you walk away and they flush automatically. I'm like, I don't know what that little red light doing in there.
Oh my goodness, I never thought about that. Uh, it's not any better on the loo either, is it? It's
Right.
they got sensors on those things too. Oh
Yeah.
man, I have a lot more to say about that, but I'll digress. That is
Who
something.
would have guessed?
Let me see what we got first up here. Let's see. Let's go to the congressman talking about the government lying real quick. Let's just see what he's saying. You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
All right, this is it, right?
No, this is not it. Since 1947, the Pentagon's been lying to us about UFOs, about what's going on with it. I think this is another attempt by them. I think they're seeing dollars. There's the Tic Tac videos that they refused to show at a intelligence briefing. And we had the pilot in the audience, and he was not even allowed to testify in a public briefing or hearing. I think this is just an attempt of them to get more tax dollars. I don't trust the Pentagon one bit. I don't trust them as far as I could throw the dome off the Capitol, brother. I think that they're smelling dollars, and they've covered this thing up from day one. I believe they've had craft. They've had some material from another galaxy, and I believe they're lying to us once again. But I think this is a complete fabrication by the Pentagon. They're just trying to. They're feeding the public. We want our pizzas in 30 minutes or less, and that's about our dadgum attention span.
You've been on this for a while. It's good to see you as always, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
It sounded like he wanted to get him off there as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. I'm not surprised that he believes that we have these crafts. What surprises me is that he's saying that they're from another universe. I mean, we have pictures, we have videos of, the U.S. government and Nazis and stuff having these crafts, but he's just outright saying, what makes him believe they're from another universe? Why does this keep getting pushed out there? I feel like it's being shoved down our throat. They got the idea that these things are from another world.
Yeah, it's total hogwash. It's just awful. And so they're definitely not from another world. If there's anything that's manifesting as these things, it's definitely from here. That's what we're told, and that's what Scripture says. We're going to see, as Christ said, when the disciples asked him the first time, "Hey, how are we going to know at this the end?" He says, "Don't be deceived." That's the first words out of his mouth. Don't be deceived.
They said they're going to fall for signs and miracles in the heavens and doctrines of demons.
Yeah,
this is what we're seeing, man. Like, oh, dude, I wish we could just talk to people who are like really involved in this, who believe that these are aliens, and just say, hey, can we look at some scripture with you? Can we show you our point of view here? Because I mean, we're kind of on the same page. We believe that they're alien in nature, but they're not what you think.
Absolutely. I'm looking in the chat to see if there's anybody talking, so that we can interact a little bit. Those doubtful. Here we go. They are coming. Fallen angels, demonic tech, hogwash. Probably reading the script. How old is Brad? Why?
Oh.
Well, I'm 39 years old. If you want to know, that's how old I am. Missed you guys. Passover.
We're the same age.
Yeah, we are. That's right. We're only about
83,
a month or so.
baby.
Yeah, 1983. Right on. It's a random question in the chat room, but yeah. So we had that happen this week, where that guy got on and started talking about that. That's fascinating. But
it is.
Let's switch gears just for a second and look and see from a professional. This is a YouTube channel called Bombard's Body Language, and she goes over and she looks at all the body language from these people to see what their eye movement's doing, see their cadence, and a lot of physical things that I hadn't even thought of. And so she analyzes one of the guys that Fravor, which is one of the pilots, and he has actually seen these Tic Tacs. And she says, let's find out if he's actually telling the truth. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Here we go.
So Tucker Carlson interviewed the Navy pilot that actually saw and recorded this UFO. Now, I don't think there's a debate anymore that there are UFOs. There are UFOs. The debate is who's driving. Aliens, other countries, us. That's the debate.
UFOs have been the stuff of conspiracy theorists for decades, often mocked for talking about it, but maybe they shouldn't be mocked. Commander David Fravor spent 18 years as a naval aviator, a pilot. In 2004, he had an unforgettable encounter with an aircraft he said was defying the laws of physics. Former Commander Fravor joins us tonight. Thanks a lot for coming on tonight. Tell us what you saw.
Well, we had launched on a routine training mission. When we joined up, we were told that the event was going to be canceled and that we had real-world tasking, and we were sent out to the west. Now, take in mind that this has taken place about 100 miles southwest of San Diego, between San Diego and...
So as he's going through his recollection of what happened, I'm not seeing any visuals or any memory reference. So this is all in RAM. And for some people who really just want to get the information out, they're nervous, and we can see he's nervous. He's very tight. They'll try and put as much preparedness into that RAM part of their brain so they're not accessing a lot. But after a while, you expect them to start referencing.
In Ensenada, Mexico,
Yep.
On a clear, perfect day, blue waters.
And so we just saw the reference there, blue waters, visual memory. So he had a lot in RAM. Pretty much he didn't want to seem like an idiot when he came out here, because even 5 years ago, this seemed kind of crazy stuff.
We get out to the spot where they tell us it's at. We start looking around, and both airplanes see a disturbance in the water and a white 40-foot long tic-tac shaped object just hovering above the water, going forward, back, left, right. There's no rotor wash, there's no wings, nothing. So as we drive around in a clockwise flow, we get to about the 9 o'clock position. And
Apparently he's a very visual person. Usually that just goes with someone who's extremely logical. They don't really rely too much on emotional memory, but a whole lot of logical memory. And if you had been watching me for years, you know that it's a good idea to have a very good mix of one, logical and emotional. You don't want a psychopath and you don't want a crybaby victim, but a very good mix of it. There's nothing that's wrong with someone who's either more on one side than the other side, but you get a much more well-rounded memory recall. It takes into account more of what was going on other than just the logic and just the emotion.
I said, well, I'm going to go down and check it out, and the other jet is going to stay high. So as we go down, when we get to the 12 o'clock position, it starts to mirror us. So it's in a clockwise flow, and it's on the opposite side of the circle from us. And we continue this. It's in a climb. We're in a descent. We're getting a great look at it. This whole thing takes about probably up to 5 minutes from the time we show up. I get over to the 8 o'clock position. It's at about the 2 o'clock position, and I decide I'm going to go and see what it is, and it's about 2,000 feet below me. And I cut across the circle, and as I get within about a half mile of it, it rapidly accelerates to the south in about 2 seconds and disappears.
What would you estimate the speed?
All right, you see that big swallow and the mouth goes real tight after that? He was real stressed getting this story out. We know that it's littered with truth just based on some of the brain patterns we were seeing.
Oh, well above supersonic. It like a bullet out of a gun, it took off.
So from what you know about aerodynamics, mechanics, physics, should this be possible, what you saw?
Not with the technology that we have today. Not at all.
Even now, even 13 years later, is there anything that you know of capable of this kind of behavior?
No, there's nothing I know of. I mean, when we saw the video with the IR, it has no exhaust, no discernible things of anything, form of propulsion. And this thing came from a dead hover over the water, just kind of moving around, to a climb up to about 12,000 feet to rapidly accelerating away in a climb, and in less than 2 seconds it was gone. And you figure you're talking 50 miles of visibility, and you can easily see an object that size easily out to 10 miles, and it just disappeared in seconds.
What would be the effects on a human pilot of the G-forces involved in that altitude change?
Well, the altitude wouldn't be bad. It would be the acceleration of the object.
That's what right.
Honestly, I wanted to fly it.
Yeah,
but,
I bet.
There's, talking to some physicists, they don't think the human body could handle that kind of force with that acceleration.
It doesn't sound like the human body could. So bottom line, what do you think this was?
So this is what we're really looking for, if he has an opinion, if this was human or not. He wanted to fly it. He was very excited. That would have been a really awesome thing to fly. He gets through it. He talks to the physicists, and they say otherwise about human body being able to handle it. And that's when you see him kind of go tight-lip and swallow again. And it's like, he didn't want to say anything more. And it just goes back to, in his mind, logically, from what he knows, it could not have been human. Now, those of us today who's sitting there looking at the sciences that have been out, that aren't really talked about and not really proven, but makes sense, that they've been able to create bubbles with gravity and time. I always tell people, go check out the Anderson Institute.
Yeah, since she goes on and talks a little bit about the Anderson Institute and stuff, but and we have actually also looked into that a little bit on this channel, bubbles and gravity and stuff, but don't put too much stock into it right now because are you bubbling your head or what are you doing?
Every time I see that guy come on camera, man, it's like, the thing was bouncing around like a ping pong ball. I added a clip of him in the Disclosed documentary just because it was kind of comical. But yeah, it's interesting what she's saying, that this guy is it like a script? Like this is not his own ideas at all. He's just basically quoting what they tell him to do, like a talking head.
Well, yeah, I think number one, he's probably very visual. I mean, he's not your classic. And I apologize to anyone who has blue hair, but it's not your classic. Hey, I work at a coffee shop, and I'm gonna emotionally fall out on you if something happens. This is a guy who's logical. He's looking around. He has an idea of what's on the horizon. He's good peripheral. I mean, he's handpicked in order to do this job, and so he's obviously thinking, hey, this is what I'm looking for, this is what it is, and this is what's logical. I don't think she was necessarily saying she was a psychopath. He was a psychopath because he specifically said, I want to fly this thing, or the water was blue. He was referencing some emotional part of his memory and trying to remember things, not only not only his logic. So I think she was just emphasizing that he's very logical, and so this is probably a good thing. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, what he was saying too was this thing defies physics, and nobody could fly it. No human could fly it. So that goes right in line with what we've been saying for years now.
Yeah, this thing's not human, and it's from here. That's number one. We haven't seen anything that indicates that they're from a long distance, far, far away. But, Mikey, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't believe it's a physical craft that can move and make those defy physics like that. This is an angelic being, a shapeshifter, masquerading around.
Yeah, there's other physics here that we don't understand and probably is being kept from us because we would do damage to ourselves and others. And I rightly so. I trust the good angels that are out there that are helping to prevent this from happening. So there's lots going on in this world, and I think we're going to be just absolutely floored when we get to heaven and we say, "Hey, show us the physics that we were seeing there, but we couldn't understand." That's when it's going to be amazing. So that's my 2 cents. But let me see what else we have on the docket tonight. Do you have any other comments on that?
No, I think that's interesting. It's like they're always so close, man. They're the things they say is like gold for us because we're like, yeah, it defies physics. Yeah, it was, it appeared and disappeared, but then it's like, yep, it's definitely aliens from another planet. It's like,
where are you pulling that
Swing
from?
bada.
Miss. So the next the clip I have up on the bat is a little bit long one, but it's worth it. So this last I premiered 2 episodes this last week, Mikey, of a show I call The After Show, and it contains a lot of stuff that's not necessarily UFO related, UAP related, but it has a lot of spiritualistic ideas that are related to it. Like, for instance, there's a guy, he was a member of the FBI for 25 years. His name is D'Souza. And man, it's just a fascinating story. He said he was given an assignment right out of the police academy, right out of this thing, to go and check this problem out. And what had happened was these well-known bank robbers had been discovered, and they had several cars from the FBI. The FBI go to this area, and they were able to get out of their car with the FBI shooting at them, walk around in a half semicircle through the bullets, and destroy. I mean, kill like 5 officers, 5 FBI agents. It was the worst massacre, and it caused a lot of different changes back then. And they said they don't understand how this happened, but he figured it out.
Is this like long ago, before security cameras and stuff?
This was in Florida and Miami. This was in 1980s, I think. But they said, D'Souza, he said, I figured out what was going on, because as we went through all these cases, they were going and looking for drugs. They were going and looking for all this stuff to help us understand why they were able to do all this stuff. And we found, the only thing we found after doing tests on their body, they said they only found 2 cigarettes that was in their body, the nicotine that was in
their body.
Yeah, not they didn't chew them, but I mean they you know, they took in 2 cigarettes before they went and did this. They had no bad liquid substances. I'm trying not to say the words so I get demonetized. No bad other substances that are not legal. And they said the only thing they found at their place, at their home, was altars to the god Loki.
Oh, wow.
I know. And I was like, so they had prayed to this thing beforehand, and they said the officers were really good shots. They shot the gun and it went right through the guy's the person's aorta, and he continued to walk around. And they said the only way they were able to stop these guys is they severed their spine with a weapon. And
so they did get these guys.
Yeah, they got them. They finally got them, but it was only because I think it was absolutely spiritual, demonically led, and they believed, just like we saw in the Beware of Angels, how these people believed they could go and do terrible things because the angels were telling them that they would be cloaked and they could do all kinds of stuff. These guys were doing the same thing.
Yeah. There was, I don't know if you remember seeing, there was like these 2 sisters that were jumping off bridges in the interstate and stuff and getting hit by cars and just getting right up and running and stuff. Did you ever see that?
Mm-mm.
Oh man, it was wild. Like the EMTs, I guess that's the one, what you call them, the ambulances and stuff, were coming out, and they were like, trying to take care of them. Then they'd get up and just take off running, and nobody could figure out what was the deal with them, man.
I'd like to read the story.
Yeah, it makes me think of the Legion dude. He was like breaking chains. This is a man, a human, but when he's possessed, he has the power to break chains, and it takes multiple men to try and keep him down.
Yep. See, the spiritual realm is absolutely strong and powerful, and that's I was tying it to Samson, tying it to the demonic man that Jesus threw the legion out of. I mean, things like that he was able to break chains, and he was able to do all kinds of stuff. There's much more than just physical muscle going on here, and it actually it strengthens my belief that the Bible is absolute truth when I hear these stories. And that's why I put this on this channel, even if it's from the other side. So anyway, this is a long rabbit trail, but that was another video on this channel that I just put out. But the same guy, I don't know if he's Christian or not. I reached out to him to see if he wanted to talk about the more spirituality of things on this channel. But he also talks about how the next step, this is fascinating, the next step in this UAP incident is their revenge for shooting them down. They're going to take revenge out on our aircrafts, like our passenger floater planes.
You mean what just happened like a month ago?
What?
We shot down 4 of them. Like
Yeah,
they said we shot
well,
down 4 of them or something.
supposedly we might have shot down balloons, but I mean, it's no for sure. We're not for sure what we shot down. I think some of them were lost, missing, or just too small.
Yeah, they said they could never find the wreckage and stuff.
Yeah. So were they UAPs or were they just too small? I don't know. But he says the next step is them. And this is interesting to me because through the whole idea that what we've been going through on this channel is we've seen through the lore that ufologists, people that don't believe the same thing as we do, believe that there are good and bad aliens. Isn't that interesting? So, and there's going to be this thing where we have to go and fight. You know, at the end of time, Revelation 16, we have to fight these supposed aliens that are coming from Orion. That's what these people believe. He's coming from Orion, same one that made the 10 Commandments. Well, we know who that is.
Insane.
So,
I mean, you should just ask anybody, be like, hey, if there was some entities from another place that said we're going to fight the ones that made the 10 Commandments, does that sound like a good side to join? Those commandments that say do not lie, do not steal, don't commit adultery. Hey, I'm all for those things. Are we going to join sides with whoever they are? Are we going to join sides with the beings that say let's fight against the ones that created the 10 Commandments? It just doesn't make sense, even on just pure logic.
100% doesn't make sense. And so this guy, he believes that the government, he's a little confused. I personally believe, this is from my perspective, my lens, he believes that there is absolutely physical craft and they are a little different than what we believe. But take that into account, grain of salt, and let's watch and see what actually he is going to say about this, because, like I said, it's a fascinating stuff. Check this out.
It appears that these vehicles are man-made. Indeed, they are, but they're not made by the United States. They appear not to be made by Russia or China. However, it does appear that our global aerospace companies probably had several hands in creating these things. And he's talking about McDonnell Douglas, Raytheon, and several other companies that really don't consider themselves American. They're actually global companies. And he said it looks like those guys had some kind of hand in creating these UAPs, but it appears they are not under the control of the United States or any other nation. And that's all he said. And it was amazing when he said that, because it really leads to several other conclusions that, well, then who's controlling them? And it appears that the ones who are controlling them are the deep state, which is not an American organization. The deep state, the cabal, the Illuminati, the power that.
Notice he said the deep state, the cabal, the Illuma, and then he changed to saying something else. I'm sure we know what he was going to say there. See, the problem is when you begin, you don't have a spiritual lens to look through, you immediately say, well, it has to be the deep state. It has to be something else that's going on here that's physical. And I think that's where he's getting some things wrong. We don't have that foundation, you get a little bit wrong here. But before we discuss that, let's continue seeing what he has to say.
It is over nations, appears to be controlling them. And that fits in perfectly with them eventually building up this campaign of fear in the nations, which is what they're doing right now, to make people fear these UAPs, ultimately towards, and I'll tell you the next step, it's a little difficult to hear, but the next step, because they need to keep building up the fear of these UAPs, next step is really for the UAPs to start shooting down our commercial airliners and our military jets from the skies. And that, I believe, is going to be happening very, very soon.
So the fear, at first we're hearing these Chinese balloons, we're hearing these stories about these things. And for decades, we've heard that these things are benevolent, that if anything, they want peace. If they're over Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana, that they don't want us using nuclear weapons, etc., right? anyone that follows these stories and knows the eyewitness accounts of the members of the military at Malmstrom Air Force Base, they were there and they were shutting off nuclear warheads that were not even connected to one another, right? With redundant systems. They were separately plugged in, basically, right? It's not like pulling out a surge protector. They were separately turned offline while this UFO was hovering above Malmstrom Air Force Base. And this is confirmed by members of the Air Force. Like, this is not me saying this. This is the Air Force saying this. So we've heard for decades that these are benevolent, that there's not, and now we're going to start to hear, they're going to start to use this story with these man-made craft, whether by Raytheon, whatever, to start creating problems, so that we think that these are some otherworldly beings, but they're really us doing it. And they're going to start shooting down aircraft now. That's crazy. And I've heard similar things. So what you're saying comports with what I'm hearing separately. And it's scary, but I want to know, what's the end goal, right? When I sit here and I sit back with my cup of coffee and I think, okay, three-dimensional chess, the deep state, the cabal, what they want, the World Economic Forum, they want control. They want a control of our money supply. They don't want any sovereign states. We know that. They want a global environment that they control. Unelected leaders. What do they want in this situation where they would want to start taking down aircraft? What do you know from your experience in the FBI that this deep state, what do they want?
The end goal is, and this is a long-term psychological operation, as well as physical operation as well. The long-term goal is ultimately to put together this grand operation called fake alien invasion. Now, the only fake part about it is going to be that the alien visitors are involved with this. They're not at all. Everything else is going to be real. The destruction that they bring to our cities is going to be real. That's what they want to do. And that's the reason that they had to divorce, because of what you just said. A lot of, and all of this, I explain all of this in my book, The Extra Dimensionals, which came out several years ago. And all of the history of UFOs, much of it has been benevolent towards mankind. For instance, we've seen since Rendlesham in 1980, when Reagan was in office, we saw these UFOs that had all the hallmarks of actual UFOs, extra dimensional UFOs. They were UFOs that descended on an American military base on British soil in Rendlesham Forest, and we saw them. A lot of them were filled with light. They were obviously in a transitional state of matter. They had the ability to appear and disappear, and they all, now we're finding out, they all went and shut down nuclear missiles that were apparently at Rendlesham, and that has been something that we've seen throughout history. And one of the reasons that they do that is because they know that there's something is going to happen with those nuclear missiles at that moment that nobody else knows. And that's one of the reasons that they come and they deactivate these nuclear missiles that are being readied for use in some capacity at that time. And there's been a long history of that throughout, even before 1980 and even beyond at that time. So this has been going on, and that shows benevolent intent from real, actual UFOs that are possibly extraterrestrial. That is the reason why this operation had to divorce themselves from the label UFOs, and they had to create this new thing, UAPs. And the ultimate goal, again, as I said, is fake alien invasion, which will not be pretty holograms, as many people believe. Many people have taken my theories and my work, and they've kind of screwed up the punchline. And the reason is because they're saying, oh, well, fake alien invasion is going to be just a bunch of holograms from Blue Beam project, from the Blue Beam operation.
Right.
And no, that's not what it's going to be. It's going to be these very physical. And this is another thing. if anyone follows my work or reads my books, they know that alien visitors and UFOs are not physical in the way that we are. They are just not physical, and that's something I first learned from the FBI in a document that was handed to me as soon as I got into the FBI as what we call a control file, and it was the bullet, the magic bullet. Oh no, the which is a document. The magic bullet is a document that I show in my book, The Extra Dimensionals. It's a government document showing an FBI agent who had an informant, and he says in there that the FBI that the informant was an alien visitor, and he says that gave him about 8 conclusions about, and this was at the time of Roswell when everyone was going nuts and trying to ascertain what are all these UFOs. Apparently, there was a huge worldwide wave of UFOs across the planet at this time. So this FBI agent happened to be a scientist himself, and he actually sent out this document to the world, and it said basically he gave 8 conclusions. Alien visitors and UFOs are not physical. They are not physical. They are from another dimension. They are from another dimension of reality, and they can kind of manifest physically here for short periods of time. And the same is true of the UFOs that come with them. And he also said they are here for peaceful purposes. We shouldn't attack them, ever. If we do, it will go very, very badly for us.
So there's a lot of information there, but it's a lot of wrong information too. So I mean, just put that out there. Like I said, when we played this clip, listen to it with a grain of salt, because it's they don't have the foundation, so they're going to get a lot wrong. But it's interesting what he said. He tied the thing to nuclear weapons, like we've seen in the past. That's a common piece of lore that people believe that they're benevolent because, look, they're trying to stop our nuclear weapon. Let me remind everyone that not only have they shut our nuclear weapons down, these UAPs, bright lights over our nuclear silos, they've also turned weapons on in other countries too. This is a well-known thing. They've shot, we've shot at them. This will come out later. I think other countries have shot at them, and they've ricocheted or turned their bullets or missiles back around and destroyed the thing that was trying to kill them. And so these things are not benevolent; they're malevolent. And we don't need to mess with them. What we need to do is have God on our side.
But they're benevolent because they're shutting off the nukes. That's just like, like the Nazi soldiers when they come and took all the weapons from the people. It was because it was good, right? I mean, when is it ever good when a more higher advanced, military is coming and turning off your weapons?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And we've
I mean, if I was an alien and I didn't want you to blast me with your nuke, I'd turn it off, right?
Yeah, and I mean, even Tom DeLonge has gone in and said, his cohorts in the military have told him they were turning off and this is in the intro. They're turning off the weapons, playing like a game of chess, so that they could prevent the war and all this other stuff. It's a mess of knowledge. Another thing he said that was not necessarily, I don't think we can really take this too seriously, is that they're only spiritual. Now, they're not physical, because even though I believe that the spiritual realm is this ethereal type, they can manifest like that. I also believe that they can absolutely appear as physical things, just like the snake was physical. I don't think that thing was a translucent being. I think that Satan has the ability, the devil, Lucifer, has the ability to not create as in life, but also make things look a deception as if it's absolutely physical. I remember, and I've said this over and over again, I'm not sure if I have the clip or not, I should probably put it in, where people have seen their dead relatives appear to them, and they said they could feel the breathing, they could feel the heartbeat, they could feel the warmth of their body. And we know that that's impossible. You can't communicate with the dead. That's called necromancy in the Bible, and that we're told not to. So this was absolutely demonic. Anyway, What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting that he kept saying like these things are not physical. And when he was talking about like the cabal and this stuff like that, I do kind of believe that in the sense that Satan is in control over all that. In the Bible, it talks about the king of Tyre, and then it goes into this whole thing about you were in the Garden of Eden, you were perfect, and all this. That's because Satan is controlling these world governments, these political leaders or whatever, Pharaoh and all that. And so yeah, I'm not like against the idea that there is some kind of shadow government controlling everything, but they're controlled by Satan.
Yeah,
They're
and
worshipers of him.
it's and this is my belief. I don't know. Don't take what I say as gospel truth, because I do believe that there are what do they call that? I mean, I don't even know what the cabal is, but it's apparently
Like
a
secret
secret
societies and stuff.
society, like a Illuminati type thing. I mean, it seems to me that Satan would have learned his lesson, and he really messed up with Marno. I mean, he let the cat out of the bag. He got that. He let
Right.
that one, and God was working to allow that to happen. So it was Marno's choice, and he chose to expose, and we're glad he did today. So I think
Amen.
if I were the devil, who is that? What book is that from?
That was on a radio show.
Yeah,
I mean, I heard it too. Paul Harvey, right?
Paul Harvey. Yeah. If I was the
Yeah.
devil, I would absolutely kind of lead people into a system that deceived them, like the money system, the business system, where they are controlled by the wealth. And that's a lot of Hollywood, who has fallen into spiritualism, is also very controlled by what the money system is. And so
Yeah.
you have two sides. I see two sides of it. You can be controlled through absolute deception, or you can be controlled and understand what's going on. But I think there's very few in that group. It's
Yeah.
only led by deception. Anyway, my 2 cents. But we have something else. We have a treat to show tonight, Mikey, unless you have something else to say about that.
No, I agree with what you're saying.
Oh boy, this is going to be hard to do. So I actually had the lyrics auto populated on the captions when I rendered this music video. This is tell us who this is. You know more about this than I do, Mikey.
So yeah, this is Tom McDonald. I heard about him a couple of years back, a little bit before the pandemic thing happened. I started seeing a video here and there, and then I seen him do a video where he was just kind of talking about, I don't know, it just seemed like everything he said is like he's thinking outside the box. He's questioning politics. He's questioning. I just like his angle with stuff, and he's not afraid to speak the truth when there's a world of deception out there, a lot of woke agendas, and he's totally anti all that. And I wouldn't go as far as to say like he's a straight up Christian, but over the years, he seems to be leaning more and more that way. He'll start saying things like, "This is Bible prophecy," and he'll say, he definitely stands up for Christians and says and realizes that there's an attack on Christianity. So yeah, he's a rapper, a white rapper, and he's completely independent. And he often shows screenshots of emails that he gets from big corporations like Sony and stuff trying to sign him, and he's like, "I'm not going to get signed to you. Why?" He when he puts out a song and his girlfriend makes a video out of it, he gets number one on the billboards every time, number one or number two, but he literally hits number one pretty much every time, and he gets in the mail, a framed billboard number one, his album. And he's doing it without being signed at all, completely independent. I just think that's awesome, sticking it to the system, man.
You've been a part of or have delved into a little bit of the music creation industry and stuff like that when you were outside of Little Light, right?
Mhm.
So you kind of know a little bit more about that. I find it fascinating. The thing I want to do, honestly, to be completely honest, my hobby, I would love to learn a bunch of instruments. That's what I plan to do when I get to heaven, is just sit down and learn a bunch of different. I want to make music. I mean, the whole reason I haven't is because there's so much else to do. We're in a war, and I don't want to just sit down. And I'd love to just to make some music videos. But
Man, Fruity Loops is a fun program. If you got a keyboard and Fruity Loops and a nice sound packs, man, you can have some fun with that.
yeah, yeah. And so this guy, I'm going to warn everyone who is conservative, going to be pretty shocked. He's very tatted up. He's got a lot of piercings. He's I'm just this is my disclaimer. There's sheep in every fold. Now, with that said, I'm also going to say too, there's a lot of symbolism in here that it concerns me a little bit. They promote Catholicism. They promote the UFOs that are in here. This is kind of what we're doing. We're not saying, hey, check this out, this is good. We're saying, hey, check this out, this is interesting. Maybe there's something we can learn from it. That's kind of where we're going with this. And if there is audio cut out of this, if you're watching this post, it's because the content ID caught me and I had to remove the song. But hopefully we can continue it. I can talk about the lyrics. The lyrics will be up there so you can at least view it. I hope, unless it completely cuts out and we go to the end of this program.
Then I'd just like to add to what you're saying, like everybody's kind of in their different part of their walk, like none of us have made it, and right. So I think he's in a place where I once was, maybe where Kanye is, and I'm not saying, oh, Kanye is legit. He could literally be a deceiver, but I honestly, my personal belief is that he is deceived himself. He's in a place where he doesn't have the whole truth, and he's on fire, and he wants to do what he can with what he has, and I was there, man. I was there for 8 years, like a rapper. I was a believer, but I was still rapping, fornicating, smoking weed, drinking beer, all that, and I thought I was bringing truth to the world, and then God got my attention. So I just pray, these people have that Saul on the road to Damascus experience like I did.
Yeah, absolute. Without further ado, let's jump right into this, and I'll try to mute it a few times so we don't have to mute the whole song. Here we go. Okay, well, wait, let's just talk about that real quick. He said a lot of very interesting things there, but notice in the background the UFOs. I think that's good. He's kind of drawing attention to it, but he's also keeping it top of the mind awareness here. But the devil's not going to take over heaven. What is he saying there? That kind of threw me through a loop.
Maybe he's talking about the skies. He just made it rhyme, but the heavens. It talks about we'll see signs in the heavens, and the what's the one it says principalities, and it says we're battling not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual wickedness in heavenly places. Mm-hmm. And so when he says that, it's showing UFOs in the sky. So I'm thinking he's talking about Satan being these UFOs taking over heaven.
Okay.
Or maybe he's just saying, man, Satan seems to be taking over everything. What's he going to do next? Take over heaven? I don't know. Interesting lyric, though.
But I had to pause there. Hopefully we heard something out of it in post. Otherwise, it'll content ID me. Okay, let's check this out. Let's continue through this. Here we go. Beller. But
he gets accused all the time. He puts it in his songs that people accuse him of being Illuminati and stuff. He had a meme where it was like 4 panels and he's doing different things, like drinking a cup of coffee like this and like walking with his hands all stiff. And he's like me trying not to make Illuminati hand signs and stuff. Just everybody like pauses him, points it out.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that he's so popular and that he doesn't have a label and that he's still on the top charts. I'm just saying, I have to admit that's kind of strange for someone to get that popular without getting a label. And so you got to wonder what's going on here, but it's interesting.
But this is the only time in history that we could really do it, because back when we were growing up, the only way you could have a song on the radio or on TV is if you had a label. Now you got YouTube and you can make the stuff in your home. Mm-hmm. And you really didn't have that option before, but
I'd love to do that. I'd love to know how they do that. I would love to do some creative work like that.
I think we're gonna have to make some music together soon.
Yeah. Show me the ropes, man. I have to have so many ideas. So I don't know.
It'll all be about aliens and it's so strange normal.
It's the best way to get a message out, because it gets stuck in your head like an earworm, and people talk about it, and that's why the devil uses it so much. But I think we could really use it for good if we really, because we understand what's going on, and at least a tidbit of it. And I think there's a lot more to understand. Praise God.
For sure.
Mikey, that's all we got for tonight, unless you have something else. And that's my closing line, which means I have to start shutting down quickly. Otherwise, people are going to start falling off. So,
no, I enjoyed it, and thank everybody for having me. And we'll talk to you later.
Stick around. We're still recording, so I want to get you on for a little post show. If you want to be a part of that and want to see our post show, join our Patreon. We want to be a part, and you want partnered with you. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for watching this segment. Subscribe to our channel and join us every Thursday night for more daily strange topics and more. Find us on Discord by accessing patreon.com/strangenormal. See you there.